It's just exit strategies for land flippers and land investors. And that's our model. That's what we do as our own business that allowed me to escape my W-2 job was, essentially marketing to off-market landowners who don't have their properties listed.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to and watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Hey, it's 11/7/23. Year's almost over. You're probably looking for side hustles, ways to make money, maybe even your primary way. Well, we've got another one here. You've heard other people investing in land. Travis King's got a book out about it. And basically, Travis, you've been doing this for 10 years, and you think there's still opportunity left in spite of the market. By the way, if you got a question for Travis or myself, shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. I want to know if you've ever invested in land and how it's worked out for you. So Travis, book. So you actually wrote the book, no AI needed, no AI inquire within. And tell us about your land buying exploits.
Yeah, so the book came from after 10 years of doing this as a business model. My wife and I run the business together, and we kind of built our own playbook, I guess you'd say, and is really kind of exit strategies, right, for going after off-market vacant land. And as I would coach clients and students and help them out and kind of share the plays in our playbook, and it became apparent I needed more than just my chicken scratch notes, on a Post-it note or a Google Doc. So I had the idea to put this in a book, and like anything, the first time you step outside your wheelhouse into something else, I was a little naive. How much work it actually take to get a conventional book written and published, right? So thankfully, 2.5 years later, where the book's just launching, the Land Investors Playbook.com, and it's just exit strategies for land flippers and land investors. And that's our model. That's what we do as our own business that allowed me to escape my W-2 job was, essentially marketing to off-market landowners who don't have their properties listed, on the MLS. We just pull these lists through the county assessor websites of off-market landowners who have owned a long time and haven't done anything with it, Kerry, so they haven't improved it, right? There's not a cabin on it. It's not a second home. It's just vacant land. And we started, targeting those off-market don't-wanters or tired landowners, if you will, with offers, to buy their land at 25 to 50% of market value. And then our exit strategy is to turn around and list and resell on the MLS or as close to full market value as we can.
All right. So we like that. So you want to buy it cheap and sell it high. We're always in favor of that. So where do you find these properties to buy? How do you do that?
Yeah, so I feel like kind of the genesis of it all is, and I think this is true with any business when you're marketing, right, is finding your list. Where's my data source, right, for my target audience. And for us, that comes with paid subscriptions to download things like you can go to some county assessor sites and you can actually pull some of these Excel lists for free, right? All the landowners in the county. Or you can pay a small monthly fee, which gives you access to kind of like a more uniform database, right? Where it would look the same for every county across the whole U.S. And you're just pulling a list essentially of the assessor tax roll of people that own vacant, unimproved land. And the higher value leads would be the people that have owned it for a longer period of time and still have not improved it, right? Or maybe they live out of state, from the land, so they're even less attached. So that's kind of what we look for. And then we target these individuals with direct mail, cold calling, text messaging. It's really kind of that we buy ugly houses approach to land is what we're doing.
Okay, so are the taxes generally in arrears on these things, or does it matter?
Good question. So that would be like a more motivated list, right? A tax delinquent. We don't intentionally target tax delinquencies, but you would have a higher response rate if you target those type of individuals. I think anytime you target something like a situation, right? There's some urgency or propensity there where there's a divorce, there's probate, but honestly, that's not what we do. We tend to just target people that have 10 years or more of ownership. And we target both in-state and out-of-state, but 10 years or more of ownership and living out of state of the property is kind of the low-hanging fruit.
Okay. So these people, they've owned it for 10 years. They haven't done anything with it. They probably never will. So how do you approach them? A letter, direct mail? Is that how it works?
Yeah, just for us, it's typically a letter of interest, right? Just to gauge their level of motivation. We can either approach them with a letter of interest, which is quick and easy, right? Because it looks the same for everybody. We don't have to spend any time valuing their property, right? So we can approach it with a letter of interest and allows us to get the mail out the door quickly. Or we can approach it with an unsolicited blind offer where we're actually putting in our purchase price, our proposed purchase price. And we're leading with a purchase agreement. If we go that route, it takes some work on the front end, right? Where we kind of need to row by row or at least zip code, figure out the price per acre and estimate the values ahead of time, but we do a little bit of both. And the goal is it's a numbers game like anything, real estate is, obviously people aren't lining up to sell their land at a 50% discount, so it's very much a numbers game of knowing what kind of response rate you're going to get and then how many leads it takes to get a deal, and that kind of allows you to build your marketing plan. Okay.
So it's basically an outreach, lead generation. Do you get leads from any other sources that you can share?
Direct mail, cold calling, and text messaging so we do like multi-channel marketing. We do all three, right? With text is always the cheapest, but you always have the highest response rate. It's the cheapest, but the least motivated. Cold calling is kind of in between, and then direct mail is always the most expensive, but actually most effective. Because for our asset class, if people have owned things 10 or 20 years or more, it generally puts them kind of in that demographic of being older, right? Well, most people check their mail. They may not have a mobile. They might not text.
Right.
So actually direct mail for our asset class of land and longtime landowners, direct mail might sound like archaic or antiquated or expensive to some people.
Yeah.
But for our asset class, it just flat out works really well.
Well, one thing I want to emphasize about direct mail, it's something I've done my whole life. Way back when, 20, 30 years ago, direct mail was the predominant means of marketing to the public. It was, that and cold calling. You didn't really have email marketing 20, 30 years ago. Then direct mail totally fell out of favor because basically email, text, and all that, it's just about free. And because there's so few people utilizing it now, the response rates now compared to 10 years ago have roughly doubled from direct mail. So it's like the worst, best kept secret in marketing, right?
Yeah, and the challenge is that sometimes people look at things like cost per lead and they measure it on that instead of like cost per acquisition. So texting might cost you, might be a tenth in the cost per lead, but is it actually getting you deals?
Yeah.
So we really look at like cost per acquisition, what works for us. So we leverage all three, and the reality is some of these other channels, they're volatile, right? Like there's laws with ringless voicemail, with texting, cold calling. They constantly fluctuate and they change state by state. Direct mail is kind of more dependable, as a primary channel, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a real art to writing a direct mail piece. I've written thousands of them over the years. Most people are completely clueless. It's the same thing. There's a proper way to write a radio or audio ad, lost art. So, the key to all of this is the writing that direct mail piece in a way that's going to get people to go. Like, I guess you've got 10 years experience, so you kind of know what you're doing with this, right?
Well, the interesting thing is sometimes you hire these consultants and these experts to tell you what to do, right? And then the interesting thing is we would use these consultants like for direct mail, and they really focused on the outer envelope strategies of, hey, we need to get this, make sure this piece gets opened, right? This mail gets opened.
Yeah.
And the reality, what we found was after almost a year, is about 9 months of testing and spending a lot of this direct mail split testing, was as soon as we increased our offers 5 to 10%, our acceptance rates went through the roof. Meaning we offered a little more, and all of a sudden our open rates, Kerry, went up, which was interesting because our direct mail consultants were telling us that we had a really low open rate because of our envelopes. And the reality is the mail was getting opened. You know what I mean? Nobody knows if the mail is getting opened. Yeah, the response rate wasn't good because our offers were too low ball. So as soon as we increased the offers, I joked that our open rate skyrocketed as soon as we increased our offers on the letter hiding inside the outer envelope. So sometimes we overthink these things as it being art. And then I also handed the letter to my demographic. So we found most of our sellers were between 65 and 95 because they had owned this land for decades. So we just handed it to to my parents, my in-laws, my grandparents. And I said, look at this letter. What do you think? Right? Rather than paying a consultant, right? At direct mail. And they said, boy, the font's pretty small. Let me get my glasses.
Yeah.
So, Kerry, that told me right away that the direct mail consultant didn't tell me I need a larger font size. They said it's a little wordy. I got to get rid of the words. And then they said, what do I do? Because I was saying fax me or text me or call me or email me. And really, I needed a better call to action to my primary channel, right? So they kind of wanted to know what's next. So the interesting thing was by actually kind of asking our demographic of the people that are receiving the letters, I got more valuable advice than I did somebody, using a marketing consultant.
I gotcha. Hey, one technique I know that really works is you, instead of using machine stamps, you use adhesive stamps and you put them on there crooked. That ups your response rate by 25 to 30% because it looks like you actually took the time out. And there's actually companies that will do that for you. Hey, so people want to find out more about what you're doing, Travis. They want to connect with you on the web and get your book. Where do they find you?
Yeah, so they can go to travisking.com is the website. Or if they want to go specifically to the book, the Land Investors Playbook.com is the book site. And in the book, we talk about where it's a little different than a lot of people teach just the simple buy low, sell high, flip strategy. Kind of the premise of the playbook and what we teach in our education program is we teach additional strategies beyond just buy low, sell high, the flip. We teach subdividing. I would say that's kind of the very first play we added to our own playbook or tool to the tool belt. We teach how to intentionally target people that own waterfront properties, Kerry. So we pull lists of just vacant lots on the water. Or we pull targeted lists of just people in the county that own 2 or more vacant land properties. So with one stamp, right, or one call or one mail piece, we're able to have these higher value leads.
Sure. All right. Well, it sounds really interesting. So the link's in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Make sure you sign up for your free newsletter. Questions, comments for Travis, myself on this or anything else we do here, just email me, kl@kerrylutz.com. Travis, thanks for coming on. Been a pleasure.
All right. Appreciate you, Kerry. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.